You know that moment when someone says something so insulting that time literally stops? When your blood turns to ice and your hands start shaking? Well, that happened to me at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in downtown Seattle. And what I did next changed my entire life. I'm sitting across from Miranda Blackwell, our company's head of HR, in her pristine corner office overlooking Pike Place Market. The rain is hammering against the floor-to-ceiling windows, and I can barely hear myself think over the sound of my own heartbeat. The Seattle skyline stretches out behind her, gray and moody, matching my current emotional state perfectly. I've been working at Pinnacle Digital Solutions for 3 years, putting in 60-hour weeks, missing family dinners, skipping vacations, and sacrificing my social life for this company. And now, after discovering that my male colleague Tyler Sinclair makes $37,000 more than me for doing the exact same job, I'm asking for what should be a simple conversation about pay equity. The discovery happened 2 weeks ago during our quarterly team meeting. Tyler had left his laptop open, and I accidentally saw his salary information on an HR document. $37,000. That number has been burning in my brain ever since. Not only do we have identical job titles and responsibilities, but I actually outperform him in every metric. I bring in more clients, I have higher satisfaction ratings, and I've never missed a deadline. Yet somehow, he's making enough extra money to buy a new car every year while I'm eating ramen noodles for lunch. "Look, Sophia," Miranda says, leaning back in her leather chair with that condescending smile I've grown to hate. "You're being dramatic. The market determines salaries, not feelings." She's wearing her usual power suit, navy blue, perfectly tailored, probably costs more than my monthly rent. Her blonde hair is pulled back in a severe bun, and she's got that look in her eyes that says she's already mentally moved on to her next meeting. Her office is a monument to corporate success. Awards on the walls, a massive mahogany desk, and not a single personal photo in sight. "Miranda, this isn't about feelings. It's about fairness. Tyler and I have identical responsibilities, identical performance reviews, and I actually bring in more revenue than he does." I slide the printout across her mahogany desk. The papers contain 3 months of research, client acquisition numbers, performance metrics, revenue data. These are the numbers. I've documented everything. She doesn't even look at the papers. Instead, she picks up her Mont Blanc pen and starts clicking it rhythmically, a habit that has annoyed me in every meeting we've ever had. "Sophia, there are many factors that go into salary determination. Experience, negotiation skills, market value. Tyler has less experience than me. He was hired 8 months after I was, and he had no prior experience in digital marketing. I came from a marketing background and had to train him on half our systems." My voice is getting louder, and I can feel the frustration building in my chest like a pressure cooker. Well, maybe Tyler is just better at advocating for himself. Miranda's tone is dismissive, almost bored. Some people are natural negotiators. This is where the conversation takes a turn that I'll remember for the rest of my life. I take a deep breath and lean forward. "Miranda, I'm not asking for charity. I'm asking for equal pay for equal work. This is literally illegal under federal employment law." That's when she does it. She laughs. Not a polite chuckle or a nervous giggle, but a full-throated, mocking laugh that echoes off the walls of her pristine office. It's the kind of laugh that makes you feel small, insignificant, like you're a child who just said something absurd. "Sophia, honey, you should be grateful you still have a job in this economy. Not everyone gets to work for a company like Pinnacle. We offer excellent benefits, job security, and a collaborative environment. Maybe instead of complaining about your salary, you should focus on being thankful for what you have." Grateful? The word hits me like a physical blow. I feel my face flush hot, and suddenly the room feels too small, too suffocating. The sound of rain against the windows becomes deafening. This is the moment everything changes. This is the moment I realize I'm done being grateful for scraps. I've been grateful for 3 years while this company has underpaid me, overworked me, and now insulted me. "Excuse me?" I managed to whisper, my voice barely audible over the storm outside. "You heard me? Be grateful. Now, is there anything else? I have a conference call in 5 minutes with some very important clients." She's already reaching for her phone, dismissing me like I'm some minor inconvenience, like I'm wasting her precious time. I stand up slowly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. My hands are trembling, but not from fear anymore. It's pure rage coursing through my veins, mixed with a clarity I haven't felt in years. The city lights are starting to twinkle in the distance as evening approaches, and I can see people walking on the streets below, living their lives, pursuing their dreams. Actually, Miranda, there is something else. She looks up, annoyed, her perfectly manicured fingers still gripping her phone. What now? I quit. The words hang in the air like a bomb that's just been detonated. Miranda's expression changes from annoyance to shock to what looks like panic. She drops her phone. You can't be serious. I'm dead serious. I'll clean out my desk and be gone within the hour. I'm already moving toward the door, my heart pounding with adrenaline and something else. Liberation. Sophia, wait. Let's talk about this. Maybe we can work something out. I turn back to look at her one last time. She's standing now, her composed facade cracking. Miranda, you told me to be grateful. Well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful I finally realized I deserve better than this. The elevator ride down to the lobby feels like descending from a prison tower. My reflection in the polished steel doors shows a woman I barely recognize. Flushed cheeks, wild eyes, but something else too. Something I haven't seen in years. Freedom. As the floors tick by, 34th, 33rd, 32nd, I can feel the weight of 3 years of suppressed anger and frustration finally lifting off my shoulders. The Seattle afternoon hits me like a revelation as I push through the revolving doors of the Pinnacle building. The rain has softened to a gentle mist, and for the first time in months, I can actually breathe. The air smells different somehow. Cleaner, full of possibility. Pike Place Market is alive with its usual chaos. Vendors shouting about fresh salmon and organic vegetables, tourists laughing and taking selfies, the smell of fresh fish and coffee beans mixing in the air. I walk through it all in a daze, my resignation letter clutched in my trembling hand. My desk cleanup had been surreal. 3 years of my life packed into a small cardboard box. My favorite coffee mug, the plant I'd managed to keep alive, a few personal photos, and my collection of stress balls that had never quite done their job. My coworkers had stared as I cleared out my cubicle, whispering among themselves. Some looked envious, others looked terrified. Sarah Chen from accounting had mouthed, "Call me," as I walked past her desk. My phone starts buzzing immediately as I walk down First Avenue. Text after text from my colleagues who somehow already know what happened. Sarah Chen from accounting. OMG. Is it true you quit? The whole office is talking about it. Marcus Williams from marketing. Sophia, what happened? Miranda looked like she'd seen a ghost when she came out of her office. Even people from other departments are reaching out. Heard you told Miranda where to stick it. You're a legend. But it's the call from my best friend Jessica Martinez that finally makes me answer. I duck into a covered bus stop to take the call, watching the evening commuters hurry past with their umbrellas and serious faces. Soph, please tell me you didn't just storm out of Pinnacle without a backup plan. Jessica's voice is tight with worry. She's always been the practical one between us, the one who plans everything down to the minute, the one who has a 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan, and probably a 20-year plan. I couldn't stay there another second, Jess. You should have seen the look on Miranda's face when she told me to be grateful, like I was some charity case begging for scraps. I'm walking down First Avenue now, past the art galleries and coffee shops, and I can feel the weight of 3 years of suppressed anger finally lifting off my shoulders. Okay, but what now? You have bills, you have your student loans, you have your rent, you have your car payment. Jessica's voice gets higher with each item on the list. I have my sanity back. I interrupt. And I have a plan. That's not entirely true. I don't have a plan yet, but I can feel one forming in the back of my mind. All those late nights I spent learning web design on YouTube, all those online courses I took in social media marketing, all those freelance clients I turned down because I was too busy being grateful for my corporate job, all those connections I made at networking events that I never followed up on because I was too loyal to a company that clearly didn't value me. What kind of plan? Jessica asks, and I can hear the skepticism in her voice. The kind where I stop making other people rich and start making myself rich. I surprise myself with the confidence in my voice. I'm going to start my own digital marketing agency. There's a long pause on the other end. Sophia, that's That's actually not a terrible idea. You've always been the most creative person I know, and you're brilliant at what you do. If anyone could make it work, it's you. I find myself at a small cafe called Grind Coffee on Capitol Hill, a place I'd passed 100 times but never had time to visit. It's exactly the kind of place where freelancers and entrepreneurs gather with their laptops and big dreams. The interior is warm and inviting, with exposed brick walls, mismatched furniture, and the kind of atmosphere that makes you want to stay for hours. The barista, a young woman with purple hair and multiple piercings, gives me a knowing look as I order a double-shot espresso. She's probably seen plenty of people like me, corporate refugees seeking caffeine and clarity. "Rough day?" she asks, sliding the cup across the counter. "Actually," I surprise myself by smiling, "it's the best day I've had in years." I find a corner table and pull out my phone to start making a list. All the clients who've asked me over the years if I do freelance work. All the small business owners I've met at networking events. All the skills I've developed that I never got to use at Pinnacle because they were too stuck in their outdated ways. My phone buzzes with a text from my mom in Portland. "Honey, Jessica told me what happened. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Your father and I are proud of you for standing up for yourself." I type back, "I'm more than okay, Mom. I'm free." 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in that same cafe, but everything has changed. My laptop is open, surrounded by notebooks filled with business plans, client contacts, and revenue projections. I've claimed the corner table as my unofficial office, and the purple-haired barista, who I've learned is named Riley Thompson, has become my unofficial business consultant and biggest cheerleader. "So you're really doing this," Riley says, refilling my coffee cup for the 3rd time today. "Starting your own digital marketing agency. I'm really doing this." I look around the cafe at all the other entrepreneurs grinding away at their dreams. There's a woman in her 50s working on what looks like a business plan for a food truck, a young guy coding what might be the next big app, and a group of 20-somethings having an animated discussion about sustainable fashion. I spent 3 years making other people rich. Time to make myself rich. The first 2 weeks after quitting were terrifying. I won't lie. I stress-ate an entire sleeve of Oreos while updating my LinkedIn profile, and I may have had a minor breakdown in Target when I realized I couldn't afford the good shampoo anymore. I spent countless hours on my laptop, researching business licenses, tax implications, and insurance requirements. I created spreadsheets tracking my expenses and projecting my potential income. I even bought a book called Starting a Business for Dummies and highlighted half of it. But then something amazing happened. I started getting messages. First, it was from former clients who had been asking if I did freelance work. Remember Mrs. Chen, who owned the small restaurant chain? She'd been asking me for months to help with her social media, but I'd always had to decline because of my Pinnacle contract. Then there was Jake Morrison, who ran a local fitness studio and needed help with his online presence. These weren't just polite inquiries. These were people ready to pay for my services. Then, it was from colleagues who had left Pinnacle before me, wanting to know if I was interested in partnership opportunities. It turns out I wasn't the only one who'd been feeling undervalued and underpaid. There was a whole network of former Pinnacle employees who were thriving in their post-corporate lives. The pivotal moment came when I got a call from David Chen, Sarah's older brother and CEO of a growing tech startup called Innovate Tech. He'd heard about my situation through the Seattle business grapevine and wanted to meet for coffee. We met at Elliott Bay Cafe in Pioneer Square, surrounded by the smell of old books and fresh coffee. "Sophia, I'm going to be direct with you," David had said, leaning across the table. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with the kind of energy that successful entrepreneurs seem to radiate. "We've been looking for someone to handle our digital marketing, and everyone I've talked to says you're the best. We've had 3 different agencies promise us results and deliver nothing. The fact that you had the courage to walk away from a toxic situation tells me you're exactly the kind of person we want to work with." "What exactly are you looking for?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady despite the excitement building in my chest. "Complete digital transformation. We're a B2B software company with amazing products, but our online presence is terrible. We need someone who can handle everything. Social media, content marketing, SEO, paid advertising. We're willing to pay $60,000 for a 6-month contract, with potential for extension." I nearly choked on my coffee. $60,000 for 6 months. was more than I made in a year at Pinnacle. That conversation led to my first major client contract. But more importantly, it led to a referral network that has been growing exponentially. Seattle's tech scene is smaller than people think, and word travels fast about who's talented and who's not. Within a week of signing with Innovate Tech, I had 3 more potential clients wanting to meet. My phone buzzes with a text from my dad. "Honey, I have to admit, I was worried when you quit without a backup plan, but your mother says you sound happier than you have in years. Sometimes the best opportunities come from the worst situations." I smile, remembering how worried my parents were when I called them the night I quit. My dad, ever the pragmatist, had rattled off statistics about unemployment rates and the dangers of burning bridges. "Sophia, you can't just quit a good job in this economy. Do you know how many people would kill for your position?" My mom had been more supportive, but equally concerned. "Are you sure you thought this through, honey? Maybe you should look for another job first." Now, 3 weeks later, I'm making more money than I ever did at Pinnacle, and I'm actually excited to wake up every morning. I've registered my business as Catalyst Digital Marketing, gotten my business license, opened a business bank account, and even designed a logo. Every day feels like an adventure instead of a prison sentence. Riley appears at my table with a plate of their famous lemon scones. "These are on the house," she says with a grin, "for my favorite success story." "You know what the best part is?" I tell her, breaking off a piece of the scone. "I'm not grateful anymore. I'm proud." 6 months after walking out of Miranda Blackwell's office, I'm back in downtown Seattle, but this time I'm the one in the power position. I'm sitting in the conference room of my new office space, a bright, modern loft in the Fremont neighborhood that I share with 3 other freelancers. The space is everything Pinnacle's office wasn't: creative, collaborative, filled with natural light and positive energy. Through the large windows, I can see the Aurora Bridge and the canal, and instead of feeling trapped like I did in that corporate tower, I feel limitless. My agency, Catalyst Digital Marketing, now has 12 clients and a team of 5 contractors. We've helped 3 startups secure major funding rounds, doubled the online presence of a local restaurant chain, and launched a social media campaign that went viral and landed on the front page of Reddit. The campaign was for a small, eco-friendly cleaning products company, and our video about the hidden toxins in your home got over 2 million views and led to a 400% increase in their sales. But the sweetest victory came last week, and I'm still savoring it. "Sophia, you have a call on line 2, says Marcus Rivera, my new assistant and former Pinnacle colleague who jumped ship 2 months ago. He'd reached out after hearing about my success through the Seattle Business Network. It's someone from Pinnacle. I take the call in my private office, a space I've decorated with plants, motivational quotes, and photos of my team's success stories. The walls are covered with thank you notes from clients, awards from marketing competitions, and a framed copy of the first check I ever received as a business owner. It's a far cry from the sterile cubicle I occupied for 3 years. The voice on the other end is familiar. It's Janet Brooks, Pinnacle's new CEO, who replaced the old one after a series of scandals that rocked the company. Apparently, my resignation had been just the beginning of a mass exodus that led to some serious soul-searching at the corporate level. "Sophia, I'll cut right to the chase. We've been watching your success, and frankly, we're impressed. We'd like to hire Catalyst to handle our digital marketing transition. We're completely revamping our online presence, and we need someone who really understands the Seattle market. We're willing to pay premium rates for your expertise." I almost laugh. Almost. Instead, I take a deep breath and look out at the Seattle skyline, at the life I've built from nothing but determination and self-respect. "What kind of timeline are we talking about, Janet?" "We're looking at a comprehensive 6-month project. Complete website overhaul, social media strategy, content marketing, the works. We're authorized to offer $200,000 for the full package. $200,000. From the company that told me to be grateful for a salary that wouldn't even cover my student loans and rent comfortably. The irony is so thick I can taste it. Janet, I appreciate the offer, and I'm flattered that you thought of me, but I'm going to have to pass." There's a long pause on the other end. "Can I ask why? Is it the money? We can negotiate." "It's not about the money," I say, and I mean it. You see, I'm booked solid with clients who actually value what I bring to the table from day one. Clients who don't need to have a company-wide crisis to realize that talent is worth investing in. I pause, choosing my words carefully. You might want to start by creating a workplace culture that doesn't drive away your best people in the first place. Sophia, I understand you might have some hard feelings about your departure, but Janet, let me stop you right there. I don't have hard feelings. I have gratitude. I'm grateful that Miranda Blackwell showed me exactly what I was worth to Pinnacle, because it motivated me to show myself what I'm actually worth to the world. After I hang up, I sit back in my chair and smile. My phone immediately buzzes with a text from Jessica. Dinner tonight to celebrate the 6-month anniversary of your liberation? I'm buying. I type back, actually, I'm buying. And we're going somewhere expensive. That evening, as I'm walking to meet Jessica at our favorite restaurant in Queen Anne, I pass the Pinnacle building. Through the lit windows, I can see people still at their desks at 8 p.m., probably working on projects that will make other people rich while they stay grateful for their steady paychecks and their false sense of security. My phone rings. It's Riley from the cafe, who's become one of my closest friends and biggest cheerleaders. Soph, you're not going to believe this. I just got off the phone with a reporter from Seattle Business Journal. They want to do a feature story about your company. Something about the Great Resignation success stories. They want to interview you about how you turned a toxic work situation into a thriving business. I stop walking and look up at the night sky, at the stars barely visible through the Seattle clouds. 6 months ago, I was a grateful employee accepting less than I was worth, sitting in a cubicle, making other people's dreams come true while my own dreams collected dust. Tonight, I'm a successful entrepreneur who took a leap of faith and didn't just land on her feet. I soared. Tell them I'm interested, I say, continuing my walk toward dinner, toward my future, toward the life I built by refusing to be grateful for anything less than what I deserve. As I reach the restaurant, I can see Jessica through the window, already at our table, probably checking her phone and wondering if I'm running late. She's wearing a huge smile, the kind that tells me she's proud of her best friend who finally learned to bet on herself. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. Sometimes it's getting ahead. And sometimes the most powerful word you can say isn't please or thank you. Sometimes it's no. Sometimes